Hello, welcome to Blind Freedom, a channel dedicated to breaking the barriers of blindness to breakthrough to independence and freedom. I'm Terry, I'm your host. I'm blind. I have some peripheral vision, but that's about it. And the mission of this channel is threefold. First, it's to communicate tips, tools, and techniques which I've found that really work. There's a lot of things that don't work. There's a lot of things that work, but they're very difficult and hard to find out how to work. And then there are things that really do work. It's hard to find out what those are, and I want to put those out there for people to know so it saves you some work. And if you have some suggestions for me, I would appreciate those as well. The second mission of this channel is to share my experience with developing my um, um, functional um, techniques to get over my blindness so that I can have freedom and independence. Hopefully, I can inspire others and get others to inspire me with their efforts. And third, this is for sighted viewers who may want to learn more about blindness, who may have a friend who they want to learn about the blindness that their friend is experiencing, or ways to help them out. I hope that all of you can enjoy this podcast um, and get something out of it. Today's podcast is called Read It. I titled it that because it's ironic that the first thing that blind people are evaluated on is their ability to recognize written language, written words, um, written symbols of expression, whether it's on a book or on a sign on a wall. And I'm sure you're all familiar with eye tests where you sit in the chair and you look at the chart on the wall and you can read the letters as they get smaller and smaller. Well, people with my level of vision have very little ability to do that kind of visual detection. I can't even see the eye chart. And so when it comes to functioning in the world, which is based so much on written language and visual detection of that written language, it's very difficult to get around without eyes. Well, good news. There's an app that helps, that's very simple. It works very well, and I want to tell you about it today. If you want to pause the videos to download this app to your phone or your iPad, please do so, because you're welcome to load it up and install it and follow along with me so that you can learn how to use it and explore its use in your life. The app is called Seeing AI. The AI stands for artificial intelligence. So, Seeing AI. It was developed, it is being developed by Microsoft, and they introduced it back in 2016 and have been improving it ever since. And it's quite a dramatic piece of software. Seeing AI. I will mention a couple of other apps as we go along, but I'm going to just wait for those until we get to them. Now, Seeing AI is so simple that the first time that I was introduced to it by my blindness therapist at the Mass Commissioner for the Blindness, um, I downloaded it onto my iPhone and my iPad. I am an Apple user because I'm dedicated to that platform for ease of use. And I had her put them on my home bar because that's how vital that I think that they are. And I've used it ever since a lot. Seeing AI works better on an iPad because the screen is bigger, so it's easier to navigate with fingers that might be old or hard to navigate on the small screen of a smartphone. But it does work on a smartphone as well if you're good at navigating and have good fingertip touches. Remember, I do use an iPhone enabled with Siri for voice command and voiceover. Seeing AI is really simple, and because it's simple, it's really wonderful and easy to use. Um, the phone version is probably the one that I reach for the most often because the first part of it is for reading short text. Now, the way that Seeing AI works is that at the bottom of the screen, as soon as you open it up, there's a menu bar, which is called Channel, and this selects the mode which Seeing AI will function in. When it first opens, it automatically opens into the short text mode. This is really handy because, as I said, this is probably what I use it the most often for when I first bring out my phone. It might be for um, reading the mail, a return address on the mail, or it might be reading what's in the mail to see just a few lines of what's going on. It is limited to short lines of text, and if you move your camera over another line of text, it'll start reading that line of text. So your shaking of your hand can mean that it's hard to read or listen to in a continuous fashion. If there are longer or more complicated pages to try to read, this is very difficult to use. If you're out in public, say at a department store, this is a really handy function because in most department stores, on the ceiling above each department is a sign that's printed with the name of that department. If you take out your Seeing AI on short text and point it up at that sign at the ceiling, it will read that department name for you. Pretty awesome. It's also useful to determine which is the men's or women's room. That's a mistake that's good not to make. Um, and other kinds of sign readings and things like that that are short. If you go back to the channel mode, and since you're in VoiceOver, you have to tap it twice to get into the mode, and then you swipe the screen up once with your finger. Next, you're going to be in the document mode. This is really also a very handy mode and very functional and probably works better than any other app that I've seen or tried out on the market so far. In document mode, you point the camera at your printed material, and Seeing AI will actually help you line it up so that you have the edges in, and then it will take a picture of it, and it will process that visual image into text. And then on your screen, it will present the text, and you can use your finger to scroll through and see whatever information you might want to have. This is huge. You can do a letter. You can do the back of a food product that you're trying to prepare because find it with short text is really impossible to do. But once it's on the screen and you can scroll around with your finger and find the directions for this much time at this much temperature, you're all set. It does save those images so that you can find them later, but I haven't had a need to do that at this point. I think document mode will also be very handy in a place like a restaurant to take a picture of the menu so that I can have that read to me by VoiceOver. And I'm sure there are lots of other applications that you might be able to think of or try and let me know about. Back down to the channel menu bar again, double tap and swipe up with your finger. And the next thing that you come to is the product mode. This is really fabulous because what it does is it has the camera recognize any UPC code, a universal product code, the barcode that's on most products. This is really helpful if you're reaching for a can of soup in the cupboard and you don't know which one you've got in your hand. It quickly identifies what your product is. It also works for a lot of clothing and other products in other stores. Although you have to be careful because stores do change their codes and sometimes they have their own codes, so it doesn't always work. I suppose just that's a note in general about artificial intelligence is you do have to be careful because it's not always 100% accurate. Back down to the channel mode, if you double tap and swipe up again with one finger, you come to the person mode. This is quite an interesting little mode. You take a picture of a person and it actually takes a photograph. And then the artificial intelligence goes to work and it tells you what kind of a person it is, their sex, the color of their hair, the expression on their face, their age, um, anything that it can detect from visual inspection of that picture. If your contact list has that person in it, it'll associate it with that person as well, and you'll name it. You can also modify tags and descriptions anywhere along the way with this. And back down to the channel, if you double tap and swipe up again once with your finger, you'll come to currency. This is great. Anytime you get a bill in a store, a lot of times you won't be sure exactly what it is, particularly if you're not sure what about the storekeeper that you're dealing with. And if you whip out your phone and you aim your camera at it in this mode, it will tell you exactly what the denomination of that bill is. It's really good, and I think it works also in other denominations besides United States, but you'd have to check into that. So if you're traveling, it's probably really handy as well. I think probably looking into language functions for all of the other things if you're traveling would be a good thing to do before you go and practice. Back down to the channel function menu bar. If you tap it twice and swipe up with your finger, you'll become to a mode called scene. This is a little bit experimental at this point still, and what it does is it analyzes the image that the camera is pointing at, how many people are in it, how close they are, how far apart they are, if they're looking at you. I think it's supposed to help navigate a crowded area as well as warn you if there are people that are approaching you and you can't see them. Um, Still remains to be seen exactly how to use this. Back down to the channel bar, if you double tap and swipe up with one finger, you come to the mode called color. This is kind of cool. It's an audio or tone indicator, and the more light there is, the higher the tone. The darker it is, the lower the tone. It's probably handy for if you want to check to remember if you've got the lights turned on or off, because then you can easily tell. Um, Wait, I just told you about the light mode. I'm sorry, this is the color mode. This is for identifying colors. This is really great for like identifying pants. I have dark blue pants, and I have black pants, and I have gray pants, and I have brown pants, and they're really difficult to identify or distinguish. So I can point the camera at each one, and it'll tell me what it is. It's important to have good lighting when you're doing this because if the lighting is not good, the camera will not read correctly, and the artificial intelligence won't work really well. Back down to the menu bar, if you tap twice and swipe up once with a finger, you come to handwriting. This is really fantastic. It works a lot like the document mode, except instead of printed material, it works for handwritten material. It's important that the handwriting be somewhat neat and legible and somewhat readable so that the artificial intelligence can recognize it. But it takes a picture of that handwriting and it changes it into regular text, which then it presents on the screen, and you can read it with your finger through VoiceOver. back down to the menu bar. If you tap twice and swipe up once with your finger, you'll get to the light mode, which, as I said, works as a tone. One other mode, which is very interesting, and it's only on the iPad mode, it's not on the phone mode, it's still experimental. It's called the world mode. Apparently, this is something to help navigate interior spaces. And from what I can see so far, it requires you to set up a route around your interior space so that it can teach you how or guide you along that route or put you back on the route. GPS is involved, and you do have to wear headphones. Mm, I haven't been able to use it very much. With the use of Seeing AI, most printed material, whether it's a book or magazine, a product, or something that you have to use in your kitchen, something in the department store or shopping or in a taxi cab, you can actually read it and do well. And it's not very hard to do, and it works really, really well. Some of the competing software apps I'll mention. Adobe has Scan It, which is very new. It works very much like the document mode. And I can tell you, I don't think it works anywhere near as well. There is also Natural Reader. This is a text to voice reader. It does have the capacity to take a picture of a text and then use the text to voice capacity that it has. It's also kind of nice because you can pick different voices than the usual digital voice that gets presented, and a lot of people like that. Also, there's a labeling system that I think is really, really good. It's called WayAround. It's an app as well as some physical device pieces that go with it. The physical pieces are some are sticky pieces that are about 2 inches by 2 inches. Some are square, some are round. Some are magnetic. Again, some are square, some are round, about the same size. And then there are some that are made like buttons, and they can be sewn onto any piece of clothing or material. And there are some with slots in them that can be attached to other kinds of mm, materials and bags and things like that. They're in general waterproof and refrigerator proof and dry cleanup proof and dishwasher proof. They're very handy. I've affixed one of the stickers on each one of my spices, and I've labeled it. What you do is you hold up the phone to the sticker, and it will identify that sticker, and then you can speak into the phone your voice description of that cinnamon or nutmeg or whatever it might be, and then it will save that. And the next time you have that spice in your hand, you can check that with your phone by tapping it on the label, and it will read you exactly what it is. Or by tapping your phone on the button in your closet, and it'll tell you exactly what it is that you've got. Final piece of software that I'll mention is Adobe Acrobat. This is really good because it's also another voice to text and text to voice um, instrument. It works pretty well with Microsoft. They interact really well. It works really well on my iPad and my phone. Um, so I would certainly recommend that for those kinds of functions. I hope that this has been helpful in teaching all of you who have never heard about Seeing AI, that it's a really handy, convenient, and useful application. And I hope you download it and use it and tell me about it. Um, I hope you realize that artificial intelligence can be very useful, and this is one of the very good uses. And this is a free app, I should mention. I hope that it's helped to inspire other people to try it and use it. I hope that other people who do use it let me know how it works for them. And I hope that people who are sighted have gained some insight into what it's like to have blindness and to be able to get over blindness and some of the technology that we use to do that. I also hope that you visit me on my website, blindfreedom.net. Thank you very much.